You know, as I made this message and I was coming up to this camp, I had a daydream. It was a bad dream, but I can't call it a nightmare because it was a daydream, so I'll call it a Daymare. And in this Daymare, I pictured in my mind the kingdom far removed into the future beyond the resurrection. When all the great glory men, those in the Faith Hall of Fame of Hebrews chapter 11, were gathered there at a great banquet. That great cloud of hosts and witnesses that we read about in Hebrews chapter 12 were there at this banquet to honor the men of faith. Oh, I was there in the kingdom picking up trash because, you see, way back there in the 20th century, I cowered down to Natalie. And I dreamed in my mind that I had given up, and because I feared jail, decided, well, you know, it's just one of those things. It's not going to hurt anything. They're not asking any money. I just have to sign my name. It's so easy, so simple. All you have to do to give jurisdiction to Babylon, to the church, is just sell out. And so I was quite surprised to receive an invitation in the mail sent to me by my friends, Brother Ted and Brother Steve and Brother Kim. I didn't understand why I was being invited to this party, but I went anyway, and as I got to the door, Kim answered the great palace doors, and he was holding a clipboard checking out the guest list. Had a strange smile on his face. He said, "Come on in, Pete," and I came in. And he said, "Steve, Ted, come over here." And he called my two old friends back there in the 20th century. Had been there. They had gone on to greater glory, and I hadn't seen them for quite a while, and they greeted me and shook my hand. He said, "Come on in." And I said, "Are you boys sure that I'm supposed to be here?" Because I looked around the room and I saw all the greats. I saw the men with the silver star and the bronze star and the oak leaf clusters, and I saw the men that wore on their chests the angelic medal of honors. I saw Stephen over there, and Peter. There was Jeremiah, and I think that man must be Daniel over there. Is that David? I'm sure it is David. Next thing I know, Steve, Ted are leading me over to the man I think is David. They said, "David, this is Pastor Peters from the 20th century. Pete, I want you to meet David. He's the young man, you know, as a young boy that stood up to the great giant and defied impossible odds." And David courteously shook my hand. He said, "What did you do in the 20th century?" I said, "Well, had a fight with Natalie Wood." And Steve and Kim and Ted said, "Yeah, why don't you tell him about Natalie? Tell him about how Natalie scared you." And David, of course, is looking at me in disbelief. And I excuse myself, and the next thing I know, they're dragging me over to another man. Who is it? "Jerry, come over here." Jerry? Jeremiah? The prophet? The prophet who stood before the kings, before the princes, before the people? The one who went to the slime pit in the prison? Oh my, what an honor, but please don't tell him about me. "Jerry, Pete had to face Natalie Wood." "Oh, really? How did you do?" "Well, I signed. But I didn't understand. I try to make some excuse as my face is blushing, and now I see this devilish sneer upon Pete, upon Kim's and Steve and Ted's lips as they kind of grin devilishly, and I realize that this has been a ploy by my old friends. "Oh no, please, don't drag me over to the corner. Please, don't! Those three men, are those Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Oh, please! Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I want you to meet Pastor Peters." Pastor Peters, you remember, do you not, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who faced the fiery furnace? "Glad to meet you, Mr. Peters. Did you face any fiery furnaces in your life?" "Well, I received some fiery letters from Natalie." And then they say, "Yes, he's afraid of Natalie. He's afraid of Natalie." And then he says, everybody, Steve and Kim and Ted yell out, "This is Pastor Peters of the 20th century, and he was afraid of Natalie. Don't be afraid of Natalie. She's going to get you." And then I'd realize why I had been invited to the party. I had been invited as a joke, like a court gesture to bring humor, and I was the butt of the joke. That's why I was there, and it was a cruel, cruel joke. And I bowed my head in shame, and I cried. And I wonder if we shouldn't bow our heads in shame and cry when we sing that he's able to deliver, but we never believe it. We never take our stand. We show the world that we're afraid. Oh God, please, I never want to go to that banquet with the record of having bowed to Natalie Wood. Let us leave here not like the miserable lot in the world, the Christian world today, that really do not believe. Let us believe and leave here believing that our God is able to deliver. Thank you.